I like headphones. I really do. I actually have quite a few pairs in this house, but I've resisted talking about them on this channel because I don't think I like headphones quite in the same way that audiophiles like headphones, and that is tethered, wired to a whole host of gear. I like my headphones to be convenient, flexible, and full of tech. And so, yeah, I'm a big fan of Bluetooth noise canceling wireless headphones. But I understand liking wireless headphones does mean that you may have to sacrifice certain sonic capabilities. But what if there was a headphone that competed favorably with the best that the audiophile game has to offer? Well, that's what we're going to talk about today. So strap in, hit that like button, subscribe if you're not already, because we're going to find out if Sony's new flagship WH-1000XM4 headphones are audiophile grade. Today's modern headphones are as much about fashion as they are performance, and you only have to look at brands like Beats or maybe Bang & Olufsen to know that this is true. And the Sonys are fashionable, if not maybe just a little bit minimal. And I like that. I do. I do think that maybe Sony could have pushed the envelope a little bit more here with the version 4s, maybe offering a few more colors than just silvery white and black. But for what they are minimal and stylish and incredibly comfortable. Out of the box, one of the first things that surprised me about the Sony was just how lightweight they were. That's largely due to their construction being mostly plastic, but these plastics are fairly robust and I do think rugged enough to withstand the rigors of daily life. Probably the only situation where I probably would not recommend these headphones would be during rigorous exercise, as I'm just not quite sure that you would want a headphone like this for working out. But for pretty much anything else in between, I found them exceptional. Now, I understand comfort is going to be subjective to the individual, but for me, I found them to be insanely comfortable for long listening sessions. Speaking of long listening sessions, one of the things that Sony touts here is the battery life. Now, I've been listening to these off and on for a little over 2 weeks now, several hours at a stretch, and I have yet to need to recharge these. So I don't doubt Sony's claims one bit when they say that you're going to get up to about 30 hours of continuous playtime. But for really on-the-go users, if you ever run out of juice, it's nice to know that you can be back up and running with 5 hours of playtime with a mere 10-minute charge. Now, to get the most out of the Sony headphones, you're going to want to download the free Sony headphone app. And one of the things that you can customize straight away is the ability to dial in the noise cancellation. I should tell you that out of the box, the noise cancellation on the Sony is the best that I have ever heard. So I was actually pretty surprised when I went into the app to find out that I could actually dial it back or up. Now, I left it in its automatic setting, whereby it just kind of senses the ambient tone of the room and space around you and adjusts accordingly, and I found that this worked out great. And one more quick note that I want to make with respect to noise cancellation is I know a lot of us are finding ourselves working from home right now. If you are struggling to create an environment for yourself that enables you to be productive while isolating or blocking out ambient sounds, the noise cancellation in the Sony is likely going to be a godsend for you. So this may be a pair of headphones that you want to check out. Now, one of the features I didn't know that I needed until I experienced it was the ability to sync to multiple devices simultaneously. And this is a new feature for version 4, and it enables you to sync the headphones to 2 devices at the same time. You can sync it to as many devices as you want, but 2 will always remain paired. And this enables you to go from, say, your computer to your phone and your phone back to your computer. Or in my case, I was able to go from my iMac all the way out into our living room and sync with our LG 8K TV here. And now that I've experienced this sort of seamless transition from one device to the next, it really does make other Bluetooth headphones feel rather archaic because it really is kind of a pain to have to always dig out your phone or do some sort of tap combination in order to go from one device to the next. Now, as good as the noise cancellation is, there are some drawbacks to being that isolated because sometimes you do want to hear what's going on in the outside world. And the Sonys have a speak to chat function whereby simply starting to talk will lower the noise cancellation and mute your music, enabling you to have a conversation. And I really, really liked this functionality because, again, much like being able to pair to multiple devices, this is something I just didn't have with my other Bluetooth or noise cancellation headphones. So I always ended up having to do this sort of dance like, huh? What? Okay. And then back. Oh, you want to talk again? Okay. And we've all done that dance, and it's annoying. So simply being able to just say, hey, and having everything lower so that you can have a conversation, at which point when you're done, it just resumes, is pretty incredible. Now, this is a function that you can defeat as well as tune inside the app. And if you want to just leave it off, there is a sort of workaround. Simply pressing your hand up against the right ear cup will engage a similar speak-to-talk function. But I really found the speak-to-talk function to be pretty good on its own, so I didn't rely too heavily on this, but there is that workaround. So given all of their technology and all of the customization that you can do inside the app, I know a lot of you are like, yeah, but how do they sound? And out of the box in their flat EQ setting, I'm not gonna lie, this is a bass heavy headphone. And as a result, the mid-range is dark and the high frequencies are a little bit rolled off. Now, I listen to a lot of pop, dance, or electronica music. So this type of EQ curve, if you will, or house sound inside the headphones was very good for that style of music. But I will be the first to admit that it's probably not the best or ideal for all styles of music. And out of the box, I'm not even gonna try and pretend that the Sonys are neutral. But let's break it down. In terms of bass, the bass that the Sonys can dish out is very deep, rich, and good. It's a very punchy headphone. It's not the same as, say, Beats, which I do feel have that sort of Honda Civic flair to them, where it's just a little bit over-ripened. But to say that this headphone favors bass is a true statement. It really does. You're going to have to apply some pretty generous EQ or switch to one of the other EQ presets if bass isn't your thing. But I am going to warn you that half of the presets magnify the bass. They don't actually turn it down. So you may have to go in and make your own custom setting. Now, because these are a little bit more of a bass-rich headphone, the mid-range is ever so slightly dark of neutral. So you're going to find that vocals have a little bit more meat on the bone, which for headphones, I like. Because I find a lot of headphones to sound a little bit on the anemic side. I know, in two-channel or home theater world, I don't like too weighty of a mid-range, but in headphones where everything tends to skew more towards the treble, it is nice that we have so much weight and grounding in the bass and mid-range here. But to say that it's neutral, it's not, but it's still very pleasing. In terms of high frequencies, this is the weakest link of this particular headphone. They are rolled off no matter really kind of what EQ setting you choose to use, even if you make your own. But here's the thing about that. I have to imagine a headphone like this, you're going to be listening to a lot of streaming music. And while these headphones are capable of high-res audio playback, not everything we listen to is in high-res, and not every streaming service has access to the most primo recordings. And as a result, the treble here isn't going to punish you the way some headphones will. I find a lot of headphones, audiophile headphones especially, like to try and beat the drum of, we have sparkly highs. That's great in a speaker, but when the speaker is just millimeters or inches off of your ear, that type of high resolution treble can actually be very fatiguing. And so that's something the Sony doesn't suffer from. So yes, you can dial the treble up, you can make it a bit more airy, you can make it a bit more pronounced very easily. But on a whole, it's not going to punch you in the side of the head, even at louder volumes. And so it wasn't a headphone that I found to get fatiguing no matter what I was listening to. So while I preferred the out-of-the-box or flat sound with certain music, it was possible for me to adjust their sound or voicing very easily when presented with different styles of music. And same thing for when Christy listened to them. She didn't like the flat profile, but she preferred things like voice, treble boost, or live, I believe was the other one. And all of these changed the sonic signature of the Sony tremendously. And for many of you, they're going to change it for the better. So if you just heard what I had to say about these being a bass-heavy headphone, and that's giving you all of these like, oh, it's going to sound like a Honda Civic strapped to my head, Don't worry about it. Sony gives you the ability to save custom presets that you make, and you can either make them based on one that they've already started, or you can just make your own from scratch. And the ability to customize and tailor the Sony sound to your specific liking is just something that not a lot of wireless Bluetooth noise cancellation headphones allow you to do, and it's definitely not something that you can do easily with audiophile or wired headphones, at least not without needing ancillary equipment. So in a weird way, I was able to make the Sonys sound like some of my audiophile grade headphones that have to get plugged into DACs and amps and things like that, but I didn't need all of the extra expense. Not to mention, I was able to enjoy the music while walking around my house, so pretty cool. While I've been primarily describing their sound as it relates to music, I did use the headphones in order to watch movies as well as playback video games, and this brings me to their dynamics. I found that I didn't have to turn the headphones up as loud because of the noise cancellation. So it enabled dynamics to feel richer at lower volumes because I wasn't trying to overcome outside distractions. But because of their bass heavy nature, some of the dynamics with certain EQ presets may sound a little bit subdued. But don't panic. Don't panic. You can get all of that energy back by simply picking another preset that is a little bit more energetic in the mid-range and treble, which for video games, especially fighting games, which I love to play too, it was awesome. Now there's just two more quick things that I want to point out as it relates to the Sony's performance, and they have to do with latency and range. This is one of the few wireless Bluetooth headphones that I can edit with. Normally, if I use headphones in order to edit videos such as this one, I have to rely on wired headphones because every Bluetooth headphone that I have in-house has lip sync or latency issues, whereby the sound reaches my ears after I'm witnessing my lips doing that on screen. That simply isn't the case with these headphones, as they are in perfect sync with the action unfolding on screen. And the same is true on my computer as it is on our LG 8K TV. So that is awesome for those of you who may want to watch movies through headphones. Now, with respect to range, I do find that the Sonys have considerable and impressive range. For example, I was able to sit in my office listening to TIDAL on my iMac and get up, walk clear across the house to get a drink out of the kitchen, which is probably 30, 40 feet with a ton of obstructions between point A and point B. Now, I recreated this experiment with some of my other Bluetooth headphones, and they all dropped the signal, something the Sony never did once. So in terms of drawbacks, at least sonically, because you can tailor the Sonys to sound kind of however you want them to sound, I don't think that they have a drawback there. But if you are one that doesn't want to futz with anything, or maybe the app scares you, understand that these are not neutral headphones from the factory. In which case, if you are looking for something that you don't have to tailor, you may have to look elsewhere. Now, one small drawback that I do have about the Sonys has to do with its noise cancellation. While it is one of its best features, for some people, it may be too much of a good thing. If you are sensitive with things like balance or feeling isolated, these headphones may actually make you feel a bit nervous. For me, as someone that I don't have balance issues so much, or I don't get nervous in tight spaces, but it was a little bit disorienting. And so that's why, another reason why I left it in its auto setting, because it was the right mix of noise cancellation without that disorientation feeling. But yeah, if you are sensitive to things like that, the noise cancellation here is so good that it may actually be a little bit unnerving. In terms of comparable headphones, I did test the Sony against other noise canceling headphones that we have in-house. Admittedly, both options that we have are cheaper than the Sony. So let's start with the Skull Candies. And like the Sonys, they are lightweight, they're made of plastic, and they feel good, and you can listen to them for long listening sessions. And because of their tighter seal, their noise cancellation feels better than, say, the Audio-Technicas that I'm going to talk about in just a moment, but I'm not going to say that it is anywhere near on par with the Sony. Also, you can't tune the Skull Candies quite in the same way that you can the Sonys, and so if you like a bass-rich house sound, you're going to find that with the Skull Candies, but if that's not your jam, there's not really a lot of ways with which you can tailor its sound. So it's just not as flexible as the Sony. Now, conversely, with the Audio-Technicas, these do cost upwards of where the Sony resides. And their noise cancellation is rather terrible, honestly. In direct comparison, it's outright noisy. And so, yes, I always found like I was listening to music through a noise floor rather than noise canceling. And because the seal on the Audio-Technica isn't the greatest and they are made of a harder plastic that does make them heavier, I just found them just a little bit more fatiguing on a whole and not able to be enjoyed for long periods of time. And so the only real headphone that I think at the moment that I have experience with that competes favorably with the Sony has to be the Bose 700 or their Quiet Comfort line. Now, I'm going to dismiss the Quiet Comfort line altogether, and I'm going to do it for superficial reasons. I think those headphones are ugly and I would never wear them. That being said, I am in awe of their technology and understand that they are the bar. They're the bar. They're the reference standard and have been since their inception. So I applaud them for that, but they're ugly and I'm not going to wear them. But the 700s are amazing. And I actually really like those headphones. I think they're incredibly comfortable. They're even lighter than the Sonys. And if I'm being honest, they look better than the Sonys. And for a lot of people, especially those looking for a more neutral sound out of the box, the Bose 700s may be a better fit. Which brings me to my original question at the start of this review, which is what if we now have a wireless Bluetooth noise canceling headphone in the Sony that can compete with the likes of an audiophile headphone rig? And I think we're there. I do. Because I tested the Sonys against my Andover PM50s, which at $499 are affordable for high-end audiophile headphones, but they do require some ancillary gear in order to sound even better. And what I mean by that is I connected them to an SMSL M500 headphone DAC and amp, and that combination coming in at just under $1,000, somewhere between $900 and $1,000, I was able to outright smoke the Sonys. But I was tethered and I still needed all that gear, and it cost almost $1,000. And so yeah, at almost $1,000, it should smoke the Sonys. But at the same time, when I went into the app and I started to adjust the sound of the Sony, I was able to get dangerously close to the performance of this $1,000 rig, but at the Sony's much lower asking price. While maybe, just maybe, audiophile headphones are still the norm or standard for people that put performance before anything else, it is possible to have the creature comforts, technology, and functionality of wireless noise canceling headphones and now share in their performance. So that's it. That is my review of Sony's flagship WH-1000XM4 headphones. I know this is different. We don't normally talk about headphones, and so I have a question for you. Are you a headphone listener? If so, do you prefer wired or wireless? And what model do you like, and which models should I be on the lookout for? Let me know down in the comments below. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, and subscribe. Ring the bell so that you are notified. Know that if you use any of the links that Christy leaves you down below, that is your way of showing your support for the work that we do here, and we thank you for that. You don't have to, but thank you very much. If you're looking for other ways to support this channel, consider becoming a member. You can click join next to subscribe down below, read all about that. Follow me on Instagram at Recovering Audiophile, and that is it. So thank you. Remember, the only person that has to like the sound of your system is you. So happy listening, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this review, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.